Carver Ainsley has signed everything except the line that ends his marriage. The pen is in his hand. The document is legal. His wife is standing 3 feet away, watching him decide whether to give her back a freedom she never asked him to take. He's stalling. And by the end, you'll know exactly what he's protecting and what it will cost him to let her go. On the frontier, marriage is not private. It binds land, water, and inheritance long before it binds 2 people. Sybil Foss became a wife because her father promised her into one. The promise secured a boundary line and a shared water source. It did not ask her consent. One of the men who made it is dead now. Carver Ainsley inherited the agreement along with the land. He did not contest it. He stood in place, spoke the vows, and accepted responsibility for a marriage formed by obligation rather than choice. They run the ranch efficiently. They speak when necessary. They share a bed without intimacy. Nothing is openly broken. Then Sybil's father offers to dissolve the marriage and reclaim her dowry, cleanly, lawfully, without accusation. What follows is not a question of love, but of resolve. This story asks what a marriage demands once duty releases it, and what staying reveals when leaving is finally permitted. Carver Ainsley sets the ledger flat on the table and turns it so Sybil can read it. The paper is clean, the ink recent. Outside, the trough runs low, water slapping stone with a thin sound that does not stop. Her father stands near the door. He does not sit. "I can have this undone," he says. "Today." The dowry returned. The landlines restored. Carver nods once. The pen lies between them, its tip blotted from earlier use. Sybil stays where she is. She does not ask what he means by undone. She knows the word the law uses. Her father sets a second paper beside the ledger. The seal is visible. "If you want it," he adds, to her this time, "there will be no dispute." Carver lifts the pen. He writes his name halfway, then stops. The ink pools at the edge of the letter. He places the pen down instead, careful not to smear it. "We'll need to check the south fence," he says, "if the line shifts back." It is not an answer. It is not a refusal. Sybil looks at the paper. She does not touch it. She steps back once, giving the table space. Carver closes the ledger. The sound is firm. Her father takes the papers and folds them. "I'll return tomorrow. If nothing's decided." When the door shuts, the room holds its shape. Carver does not look at Sybil. She does not tell him to stop. Sybil is already in the barn when Carver comes in, the lantern hung low, the gate half-latched. She is measuring feed with steady hands. The horse shifts its weight and waits. Carver checks the hinge on the stall door. He tightens the pin. She slides the feed pan forward and steps back. The horse lowers its head. The sound fills the space between them. "The papers stay," she says, not looking at him. "Until tomorrow." He nods. It is the same motion he used the day before. Outside, the wind presses along the boards. The lantern smokes. Carver moves it higher on the hook. "If your father comes back," he says, "I won't stand in the way." She finishes with the latch. She wipes her hands on her skirt once, then again. That would be easier. He turns to her then, not quickly. He stops at the rail, leaving the width of the stall between them. "I didn't marry you to keep you," he says. She meets his eyes. "You married me anyway." The horse stamps. Carver stills it with a hand on the neck. He keeps his palm there longer than necessary, then steps back. "The fence needs mending. South line." She nods. I'll ride out after breakfast. He does not say she needn't. He does not say he will go instead. They walk out together. At the door, he reaches for the lantern. She reaches too. Their fingers do not touch. He lets go first. Sybil rides the south line alone. The fence posts lean where the ground has softened, wire slack between them. She dismounts, loops the reins, and sets her shoulder into the first post. It gives an inch. Not enough. She works the post out and resets it deeper. The hammer rings once, twice. Carver appears on the rise with another horse. He stops when he sees her. He ties off 20 yards down and walks the distance instead. You didn't have to wait, she says. I didn't. He takes the hammer from her hand without asking. He drives the post the rest of the way in. The wire tightens. They move down the line together. He lifts, she pulls. They do not speak unless the work requires it. At the boundary stone, Carver pauses. He sets his boot against it, testing the ground. This is where it would move, if it's undone. Sybil looks at the stone. She knows the measure of it. It won't shift on its own. No, it won't. He takes out his knife and cuts new wire. He binds it clean. When he finishes, the fence holds firm. Your father will expect an answer, he says. She nods. So will the law. He wipes the blade and folds it away. If you want to leave, I'll make it clean. She steps back from the stone. She does not cross it. If I stay, it won't be because there's nowhere else to go. He looks at her then. He does not soften. I know. They stand on their own sides of the line, the fence complete between them. Sybil lays the table for two and stops before setting the third plate. She carries it back to the shelf and leaves it there. The kettle whistles once before she pulls it off. Carver comes in with dust on his cuffs. He washes at the basin, drying his hands on the same towel she used. He sits where he always sits. Her father arrives before they finish eating. He does not knock. I won't stay, he says. I need an answer. Sybil stands. She does not offer him a chair. Carver rises as well. He does not move toward the door. I can file this today, her father says. You'll be free of it by week's end. Sybil looks at the floorboards. She has counted them before. Carver speaks first. If she goes, the fence stays. Her father's jaw tightens. That wasn't the agreement. It's the land we've kept, Carver says. It won't move because the marriage does. Silence stretches. The kettle ticks as it cools. Her father turns to Sybil. You don't owe him anything. She lifts her eyes. I know. Then come home. I'll have the wagon ready. Carver does not look at her. He keeps his hands flat on the table. Sybil steps to the shelf and takes down the third plate. She sets it on the table, completing the place. I'm not coming today, she says. Her father exhales through his nose. He unfolds the papers once, then folds them again. Tomorrow, if you change your mind. When the door closes, Carver remains standing. She meets his gaze. I stayed, that's all. It's enough for now. Carver leaves before first light. The door clicks shut, careful not to wake her. Sybil hears it anyway. By mid-morning she rides to the creek where the water thins. The bank has slumped. She steps down and clears debris by hand, lifting wet branches free. The current steadies. Carver arrives while she is knee-deep, boots off, skirts pinned. He does not comment. He wades in from the other side, sleeves rolled. They work without speaking. The creek runs clearer by the time they are done. On the bank, Carver wrings his sleeves. If your father comes again, I won't block the door. She ties her boots. I didn't ask you to. He nods. I know. A rider passes on the road above them. The man slows, tips his hat. His eyes linger. "That offer won't stay quiet," Carver says. "It wasn't meant to." They walk back toward the horses. At the rail, Carver stops. "If you stay, people will assume why." She tightens the cinch. "They already do." He watches her hands. "I won't correct them." She pauses once, then finishes the knot. "Neither will I." They mount. He takes the long way back, giving the road space. Sybil counts the flour twice before she pours it. The bin is lower than it should be. She closes the lid and marks the ledger with a shorter line. Carver comes in carrying a sack of grain he did not plan to buy. He sets it down and waits. "Town's thin," he says. "Prices climbed." She nods. "They heard." He washes his hands. The water runs cloudy, then clear. "They asked if I was selling." She stills the spoon. "Did you?" "No." She looks up. He does not elaborate. A knock comes at the door. It is the feed merchant, hat in hand, eyes moving from Carver to Sybil and back. He speaks to Carver. He does not look at her. "I'll need assurance," with the lines unsettled. Carver sets the sack upright. "They're settled." The merchant hesitates. "By law?" Carver's mouth tightens. "By use." The merchant nods once, not convinced. He names a shorter credit. He leaves. Sybil closes the door and leans her weight into it until the latch clicks. "You didn't have to take that." "I did. If we're staying." The word hangs. He moves to the table and opens the ledger. He writes slower than usual. "They'll keep asking," she says. "Yes." "And you'll keep answering?" He does not look up. "As long as it's mine to answer." She steps closer. The ledger is between them again. "It won't stay that way." He stops writing. "I know." Outside, a wagon passes. The boards rattle. Sybil takes the mare out at dusk, not for work, but to keep the road from deciding for her. The sky lowers. The far fence fades to line and post. At the bend near the cottonwoods, she finds Carver's father's old gate lying open. The chain is loose, the latch worn smooth. She dismounts and lifts it back into place. The wood sags. It will not hold without a new pin. Carver rides up before she finishes. He reins in short. "That wasn't on the list." "It is now." She threads wire through the hinge and twists until the gate sits. He watches her hands. "If the marriage is undone, this goes back to my side." She straightens. "If it's undone, I won't be here to close it." He says nothing. He takes the wire from her and tightens it the rest of the way, clean and fast. A wagon creaks on the road. Voices carry. The sound stops. Someone is watching. Carver steps between her and the road without looking back. He rests a hand on the gate as if testing it. The wagon moves on. "You don't have to do that," she says. "I know." They mount. He rides beside her this time, close enough that the horses brush. At the fence corner, he slows. "If you leave," he says, "I'll open everything." She keeps her eyes forward. "If I stay, you'll close more." He nods. "Yes." They turn back together. At the yard, he waits until she dismounts, then takes the reins and hangs them. The house stands dark. One lamp lit. The sheriff rides in before noon. He ties off at the rail and waits to be invited inside. He does not dismount. Carver steps out first. Sybil stays at the table, the ledger open where it was left. The sheriff speaks to Carver, voice even. "I've been asked to confirm where the line stands. Nothing formal yet." Carver nods. "It hasn't moved." "That's what I needed." The sheriff tips his hat toward the house. "And the marriage?" Carver does not answer at once. He does not look back. "It stands," he says. The sheriff accepts that. He turns his horse and leaves the question where it was placed. Inside, Sybil closes the ledger. didn't have to say it that way. There wasn't another way. She sets the ledger on the shelf, not where it belongs, but higher, out of reach. You spoke for both of us. I spoke to keep him from speaking again. She considers that. That won't last. No, it won't. Later, a boy from town brings a notice folded small. Carver reads it once and hands it to Sybil. It lists grazing access contingent on marital standing. The date is near. They're not waiting, she says. They won't. She folds the paper and places it under the stone that keeps the door from swinging. If we don't answer, they'll answer for us. Yes. They stand in the doorway, the yard open, the road quiet. Carver does not reach for the paper. Sybil does not move it. The notice brings men to the fence before it brings answers. 2 riders stop at the south line and wait, reins loose, eyes measuring wire and post. Sybil sees them first. She does not go inside. She walks the length of the fence instead, checking ties she already knows are sound. Carver joins her halfway. He does not ask who sent them. You'll need to decide, one of the men calls. We can't graze on uncertain ground. Carver keeps his hand on the wire. It isn't uncertain. Then file it, or open it. The words hang where the wind can take them. Sybil steps closer to the post, close enough that her sleeve brushes Carver's arm. He does not move away. There won't be grazing here, Carver says. Not this season. The men exchange a look. That'll cost you. Yes. They ride off without argument. Dust settles back into the ruts they leave behind. Sybil lets her hand fall from the post. They'll tell others. I know. They'll come again. Yes. She turns to face him. You could have let them through. He meets her eyes. You could have gone. The fence hums once as the wire cools. Later, in the yard, Carver cuts a section of old rail and replaces it with new. The work is unnecessary. It is visible from the road. Sybil brings him water. She sets it down within reach, but does not stay. Sybil brings the accounts into town herself. She does not ask Carver to come. He does not offer. The clerk takes the ledger and flips through it slowly, pausing where the entries shorten. He looks up at her, then past her shoulder, as if expecting someone else to answer. This would be simpler if your standing were clear. It is clear, Sybil says. He sets the ledger down. Then you won't mind signing. She reads the form. It binds future credit to marital continuity. The date extends farther than the season. I will mind, she says, and pushes it back. The clerk leans away. Then I'll need approval from your husband. Sybil gathers the ledger. You already have it. In usage. He does not smile. He does not argue. He notes something in the margin and calls for the next account. Outside, 2 women pause their talk as Sybil passes. One nods. The other looks away. Carver meets her at the edge of town. He takes the reins while she dismounts. They asked you, he says. They did. And? I didn't give them more than they were owed. He hands her the reins back. That won't satisfy them. No. They ride home together. At the gate, Sybil stops. If I stay, they'll stop asking you first. He considers that. If you leave, they'll never ask you at all. She opens the gate and rides through. He follows. Rain comes in before dawn and does not leave. It flattens the road and turns the yard to mud. By mid-morning, a rider breaks through the gate without slowing. Sybil steps onto the porch as he dismounts. He does not remove his hat. The south line flooded. Your neighbor wants passage until it settles. Carver comes up behind her. He does not crowd her. He lets her stand first. It won't hold stock, just the road. Sybil looks past him to the low ground. The water has crept closer. If the fence gives, it will not be put back quickly. Carver waits. He does not answer. She steps down from the porch. The road stays closed. If it opens once, it won't close again. The rider frowns. That's not what your father would have. He doesn't decide here, she says. The rider turns to Carver. Is that your word? Carver nods. It is. The rider mounts without further talk and rides off through the rain. Inside, Sybil hangs her wet shawl. Her hands shake once before stilling. You didn't have to let me take that, she says. I did. They needed to hear it from you. She considers that. They will now. Yes. The rain continues through the afternoon. The fence holds. The rain leaves behind broken ground. By morning, the yard smells of wet iron and trampled grass. Sybil takes the spade and works the low spots smooth, packing earth back into place. Carver brings boards from the shed. He sets them down where the mud keeps pulling at boots. You don't have to fix it all today, he says. I won't. She keeps working. A wagon stops on the road. The driver does not come closer. He waits until Carver looks up. I was told to speak to you about access. Through the flooded stretch. Carver steps forward, then stops. He glances at Sybil once. She's the one you'll speak to, he says. The man shifts in his seat. I don't need permission, just agreement. Sybil straightens, dirt on her hands. Then you won't have either. The driver studies her. He weighs the mud, the boards, the fence line still holding. It won't be remembered kindly. She sets the spade aside. It doesn't need to be. The wagon turns back. Carver hands her a board. Their fingers brush this time. Neither withdraws, neither lingers. They'll stop coming to me first now, he says. Yes. And they'll expect you to answer every time. Yes. He watches her place the board, square and firm. If it costs you, say so. She meets his eyes. If it costs me, it's because I stayed. He nods. He does not argue. By afternoon, the yard holds its shape again. That evening, Carver leaves the house keys on the table when he goes out. He does not explain why. Sybil wakes before the house does. The keys are still on the table where Carver left them, metal catching the thin light. She picks them up and weighs them once, then slips the smallest onto her ring with a twist of wire. It sits awkwardly. It will leave a mark. Outside, a boy waits by the fence with a note folded tight. He does not step onto the yard. It's for you, he says. She takes it and reads. The message is brief. A request for passage after dark. Stock moving slow, no trouble intended. Carver comes up behind her. He reads over her shoulder without touching. They're asking you now. Yes. If you say no. I know. She walks to the gate and looks down the road. The sun is already lifting. If she allows it, the crossing will be seen. No night passage, she says. They can come at first light. I'll be here. The boy nods and rides off. Carver watches her close the gate. That will make enemies. She slides the bar into place. It already has. He considers the wire at her ring. You didn't need to take the keys. I did, if I'm the one answering. He does not reach for them. By midday, 2 riders arrive at the appointed time. Sybil meets them at the gate. Carver stays by the barn, visible, silent. She walks the line with the men, points out where they can cross and where they cannot. They follow her direction without protest. When they leave, the fence stands and the yard stays quiet. That night, Sybil unhooks the key from her ring and sets it back on the table. It is worn where the wire rubbed. A letter arrives with the morning freight. sealed and official. Sybil breaks it open at the table while Carver stands at the window. It names her. Not the marriage, not the ranch. Her. The county requests her presence to clarify standing on shared access and liability. The date is set. The language is careful. It assumes continuity. They've chosen, Carver says. They have. He moves to the table. He reads it once, then again. I can go with you. She folds the letter. They didn't ask you. They'll expect me. She meets his eyes. That's why I won't. He considers that. He does not argue. Outside, a wagon passes. The driver slows. At the stable, Carver saddles 2 horses. He leaves one tied. Sybil takes the other without comment. They ride to the edge of the property together. At the marker stone, she stops. This is as far as you need to come. He reins in. If you want me closer, I don't, not today. He nods. Then I'll hold here. She rides on alone. By afternoon, she returns. Dust on her cuffs, her mouth set. They'll issue conditions, she says. On me. He waits. I accepted. He exhales once. That binds you. Yes. And frees me. She looks at him. No, it binds us both, just unevenly. He absorbs that. He does not reach for her. The county notice brings a man to the yard who does not remove his coat. He keeps his hat on and his book tucked under his arm. I'll need to see the crossings, he says. His eyes go to Sybil first. She nods and takes him along the south line. Carver follows at a distance, far enough to be seen, not close enough to intervene. The man stops at each marker and makes notes. You're responsible for maintenance. Any failure comes back to you. Yes, Sybil answers. And your husband? He's not the one you're here for. The man glances back at Carver. He writes anyway. At the flooded stretch, the ground has settled uneven. The man tests it with his boot. If this gives, it won't be forgiven. Sybil sets a board where the mud pulls. Then it won't give. The man closes his book. You understand the consequence. I do. When they return to the yard, Carver steps forward. The man nods once to him, then mounts and leaves without asking another question. Carver waits until the road clears. You didn't have to take all of it. She looks at the line they just walked. If I didn't, they'd come back for more. He nods. They will anyway. Yes, but not today. That evening, Carver brings out the spare horse and sells it to a neighbor who has been watching the place too closely. The price is fair, not generous. Sybil sees the empty stall and understands. You're narrowing things, she says. So are you. They eat in quiet. The house holds fewer options now and more obligation. Sybil finds the bill folded into the ledger where Carver used to keep receipts. The amount is modest. The due date is not. She sets it beside the lamp and trims the wick lower. Carver watches from the doorway. They're charging you, he says. They're charging what I named. He steps in and takes the bill. He reads it once. I can cover this. She reaches out and takes it back. You won't. He does not argue. He sits instead, hands on his knees, waiting. Later, a neighbor rides up with a load of timber cut too long for his own fence. He looks to Carver out of habit, then corrects himself. She asked for it, the man says. Yes, Carver replies. She did. Sybil measures the boards and names a price. It is lower than the market would bear. The neighbor hesitates. You sure? She meets his eyes. I'm sure. The man unloads and leaves. Carver helps stack the timber without comment. That evening, Sybil records the exchange in the ledger. She signs her name at the bottom of the page, not where Carver's used to be, but above it. He notices. He says nothing. At dusk, the wind shifts. A shutter bangs loose. Carver goes to fix it, then stops. He looks back at the house. Sybil is already on the ladder. He holds it steady from below. She replaces the hinge and climbs down without looking at him. "You didn't have to wait," she says. "I know." They stand there longer than needed, the ladder between them. The morning comes clear and cold. Sybil opens the cupboard and counts what remains without moving anything. She closes it again. Carver brings in a crate from town and sets it by the door. He does not say where it came from. She does not ask. A rider appears just after noon, alone this time. He does not stop at the fence. He comes into the yard and waits. "I was told to speak to you about moving stock through before winter." She wipes her hands on her apron. "You can't. It won't be remembered, either way." Carver shifts where he stands. He does not speak. Sybil looks past the man to the road. The weather is already turning. If she allows it, it will not be the last request. "No," she says again. The rider studies her, then glances at Carver. "You're letting her answer for you?" Carver meets his eyes. "I'm letting her answer for herself." The man nods once, tight. He leaves without another word. Inside, Carver lifts the crate lid. It holds tools she ordered weeks ago and never expected to arrive. "You paid for these," she says. "Yes." "With what?" He closes the lid. "With what I had left to spend." She considers that. "You didn't tell me. You didn't ask." They stand there, the crate between them, unopened. "If this keeps going," she says, "there won't be a way back." "I know." She rests her hand on the crate, then lifts it away. "Then stop paying ahead of me." He nods. "All right." He does not take the crate back to town. He does not open it. The first frost comes early. Sybil breaks it from the trough with a stone and pours the shards out onto the ground. The water runs again, thin and sharp. Carver is already in the yard, mending tack that does not strictly need it. He watches her work, then sets his tools down. "They've stopped asking," he says. "For now." He nods. "They'll wait for winter." She finishes with the trough and straightens. Winter isn't an answer. No, it's leverage. A wagon passes without slowing. No greeting, no pause. "They're taking measure," she says. "Yes." At the barn, Carver brings out 2 sacks and sets them on the scale. "We can sell one, hold the other." She checks the weight. "That leaves us narrow." "It does," she thinks, then lifts 1 sack off the scale and sets it back. "We keep both." He studies her. "That costs." "Yes." He accepts it. He reties the sack and stores it deeper than before. Later, Sybil finds the county ledger copied onto a fresh page in her hand, the figures exact. Carver has added nothing. At dusk, she lights the lamp and places it in the window. Not high, not low, where it will be seen from the road. Carver notices. If they see it, they'll read it as settled. They already do. They eat without speaking. Outside, frost forms again. Sybil wakes to the sound of hooves and knows it is too early for delivery. She pulls on her coat and steps onto the porch before Carver reaches the door. 3 riders wait at the gate. Not neighbors, not county. Their horses are fresh. Their faces are not. "We're moving through," the lead man says. He does not ask. The river road's iced. Sybil does not step down. "Not today." The man smiles once. "It won't be noticed." Carver comes up beside her. He does not speak. His presence is counted anyway. "You've been turning people off," the man says. "That changes things." Sybil looks at the frost still holding in the shadows. "So does trespass." The man's gaze shifts to Carver. "You letting this stand?" Carver answers without raising his voice. It stands. The riders exchange a look. One shifts in his saddle. The horses stamp, uneasy. "This will cost you," the lead man says. "Yes," Sybil says. "It already has." She steps down then and walks to the gate. She does not open it. She rests her hand on the post, steady. After a long moment, the riders turn away. The sound of hooves fades slower than it came. Carver exhales once she closes the bar. That could have gone another way. It didn't. He studies her face. Next time? She meets his eyes. There won't be one. Inside, Carver reaches for the county letter and sets it into the fire. The paper curls, blackens, disappears. Sybil watches until it is gone. Snow comes by evening, light at first, then steady. It erases the road before it closes the gate. Sybil brings the lantern down from the hook and sets it near the window. Not as a signal, as a fact. Carver checks the rifle by habit and puts it back where it was. He does not load it. "They won't come in this," he says. "They might." He watches the snow collect at the sill. "If they do, we'll know why." They eat early. The sound of spoons is loud in the small room. Outside, the wind shifts the snow against the boards. Later, Carver brings out the old map and spreads it on the table. He traces the boundary with one finger, stopping where the river bends. This was meant to be temporary. The marriage. She folds a corner back into place. "It isn't now. No. If I had gone when my father offered..." "You didn't," he says. She looks at him. "If I go now, it won't be the same." He meets her eyes. "No." They stand over the map. Neither reaches across it. The wind dies. Snow keeps falling. Before bed, Carver bars the door and hands her the key. He does not explain. He does not keep a copy. She takes it and sets it on the table beside the ledger. In the night, no one comes. The snow does not melt. It hardens. The road stays buried long enough to change habits. Sybil opens the gate each morning and closes it again, even when no one has come. The hinge stiffens. She oils it and wipes the excess away. Carver takes the long fence line on foot, checking posts buried to the wire. He does not cut new paths. He follows the line as it stands. At midday, a man from the North Place appears on snowshoes. He stops short of the gate and raises his hands to show he carries nothing. "I'm not asking to cross. I'm asking if you'll sell." Sybil steps forward. "What?" "Hay. Grain. Whatever you can spare." Carver watches her face. He does not answer for her. She looks at the barn, then back at the man. "We can't." The man nods. "I figured." He hesitates. "If things were different." They aren't. He leaves without pressing it. His tracks fill in behind him. Inside, Carver sets another mark in the ledger. That was a chance. Yes, and it passed. He closes the book. If winter breaks hard, it will, either way. That night, the wind rises. Snow drives against the house. The lamp stays lit until late. In the dark, Carver stands at the window longer than needed. "If you want to go when it clears," she interrupts him. "Don't." He turns. She does not soften. "I know what leaving costs now," she says, "and I know what staying does." He nods once. The cold eases enough for sound to travel again. Axes ring from somewhere beyond the trees. Someone is cutting early. Sybil takes the spyglass from the shelf and looks north. Smoke lifts where it shouldn't, thin and steady. "They're settling closer," she says. Carver comes beside her. He does not take the glass. They think the line softened. It hasn't. He nods. But they don't know that yet. By afternoon, 2 men appear at the edge of the property with a team and a sled. They stop short of the marker stone. "We were told this stretch was open," one says. Sybil steps out alone. The snow creaks under her boots. You were told wrong. The man gestures at the trees. We're cutting for winter. We won't touch your house. She points with the end of her glove. You'll cut on your side, or you won't cut at all. They look past her, toward Carver, who stands by the barn, still. Is that your word too? One asks. Carver answers without moving. It is. The men hesitate. One mutters. The sled creaks as they turn it back. When they are gone, Sybil exhales and leans against the fence. The cold bites through her coat. Carver comes to her then, not close, but nearer than before. That was the last time they'll ask politely. Yes. I know. He looks at the tree line. If this turns, it will. Eventually. They stand in the open yard, the winter sound carrying farther than it should. That evening, Sybil moves the rifle from the wall to the cupboard and locks it there. She keeps the key. The sky clears hard and bright. Sound carries farther than it should. Sybil sharpens the blade at the table, slow and even. She does not test it on her thumb. She wraps it and sets it by the door. Carver brings in a length of chain and coils it beside the stove. He does not ask where it will be used. They're closer, he says. Yes. A rider appears near noon, alone this time, leading a second horse without tack. He stops at the marker stone and waits. I was sent to speak, not to push. Sybil walks out to meet him. She does not invite him farther. Then speak. The men north want to know where you stand, if this is temporary. She looks back once, to where Carver stands in the yard, visible. It isn't. The rider shifts. Then they'll move accordingly. They already are. He nods. He does not ask what she wants in return. He mounts and leaves, taking the spare horse with him. Inside, Carver sets the chain by the door and steps back. That was a line. Yes. And you drew it? Yes. He studies her face. If it breaks, it won't. Not without effort. He accepts that. He does not reach for the chain. The wind changes overnight. It carries sound from the north again, closer this time but steadier. Work, not threat. Sybil steps out before sunrise and finds the marker stone dusted clean, as if someone brushed it by hand. She does not look for tracks. She knows what it means. Carver comes up beside her. They're measuring. Yes. He waits. She does not move the stone back to where it sat before. She leaves it where it is. By mid-morning, a wagon stops at the far fence. 2 men remain with it. A third walks the line alone, careful not to cross. We'll be fencing our side, he calls, to match yours. Sybil rests her hand on the post. Do it clean. The man nods. We will. Carver watches the work begin from a distance. They've accepted it. They've adapted. That's different. He considers that. It usually is. Later, Sybil brings out the spare wire and sets it where the men can see. She does not offer it. She does not hide it. One of them raises a hand in acknowledgement and continues. That afternoon, Carver removes the last unused gate from the shed and carries it to the burn pile. He does not light it. He leaves it visible. Sybil notices. You won't need it again. No, not here. They stand together as the sun drops, watching the new fence line take shape on the far side. The fencing to the north is finished by noon. The sound of hammers stops. The quiet afterward is different, not waiting, not testing. Sybil brings out the scale and checks it against the weights. She resets it twice, then leaves it alone. Carver loads grain into sacks meant for sale, not storage. He ties them off and sets them by the door. Town will want to see it. They will. He hesitates. If we don't take it now, they'll assume we can't. He nods and lifts the first sack. She takes the second without comment. They ride together, leaving the gate open behind them. Not an invitation, a signal that they will return. In town, the merchant meets them both. He looks from Sybil to Carver and back again. "You're late." "We're steady," Sybil answers. The price he names is fair, not generous. They accept it without negotiation. On the way back, Carver reins in once, near the bend where the road splits. "If you had gone earlier, this would be lighter." She considers the tracks ahead. "If I went now, it would be theft." He looks at her. "Of what?" "Of what we've already spent." They ride on. At the gate, Carver closes it behind them and bars it without looking at her. That evening, Sybil sets the ledger on the table and leaves it open. She does not close it when she goes to bed. The thaw comes uneven. The yard softens before the road does. Sybil steps carefully, choosing where to place her weight. Carver brings out the old plow and sets it by the fence. He does not hitch it. He leaves it where it can be seen. They'll expect planting. Yes, and proof we intend to stay. A man from town arrives mid-morning with papers tucked under his arm. He stops at the gate and waits. "I was told to bring this. Formal notice. Nothing adverse." Sybil takes the papers and reads them through without moving. They recognize her standing. They recognize the land as held. They make no mention of exit. She hands them to Carver. He reads once, then folds them and returns them to her. "They won't ask again." "No, they won't need to." The man lingers. "If you ever wished to sell..." She shakes her head. "Not to you." He nods, accepts the answer, and leaves. In the afternoon, Sybil walks the fence alone. She checks the posts, the wire, the places that pulled hardest through winter. Everything holds. Carver waits by the barn. He does not follow. At the boundary stone, Sybil stops. She kneels and resets it deeper, pressing the earth firm around its base. The work is slow. It stains her hands. When she returns, Carver notices the dirt under her nails. He says nothing. That evening, he brings out the last unsigned paper, the dissolution, folded thin from handling. He sets it on the table between them. "It's still valid," he says. "Yes." He waits. She looks at it once, then pushes it back toward him. "It won't be. Not anymore." He takes it and feeds it into the stove. The paper curls and blackens. He does not watch it burn. Planting begins without announcement. Sybil sets the rows straight and shallow, spacing them for yield rather than ease. The soil is ready. It has been waiting. Carver follows with the plow, keeping the line true where the ground pulls. He does not correct her markers. He works to them. By midday, a neighbor stops at the fence and watches. He does not comment. He does not offer advice. He leaves after a time. They break only once, sitting on the step with water between them. The house stands open behind them. "This won't be reversible," Carver says. "No. If the year turns, it will, one way or another." He looks at the field, the rows already taking shape. "Then this is where it holds." "Yes." They return to the work. The plow catches once. Carver steadies it and continues. Sybil adjusts the line without speaking. By late afternoon, the field is set. The seed is in. The ground is closed over it. Carver wipes his hands on his trousers. There won't be another season like this. No, there won't. At dusk, Sybil takes the ring from her finger, the wire still bent from the key, and sets it on the table. She does not replace it with anything else. Carver sees it there. He does not ask. That night, the land lies quiet. The work is done. The choice has already been lived. If you love stories like this, you're welcome here. Subscribe if you want more Western romances. And if this story stayed with you, you can say so in the comments. I'll see it. I'm your narrator, John. Until the next road.